live stream on my screen. Won't be long. Content. I'm just setting up my monitor of the live stream. Hello! Okay, the live stream's up and running. You can see comments there from Sandy, and I'm not even going to read out the name. A person called surname Summers. They could even get kicked off the chat channel for having a name like that, because that's just ridiculous. Did I ever do an ILS video for this plane? Possibly. I can't remember, to be honest. We're going to be doing the Expressway approach. Let's go and open little nav map before we get started. So we're taking off from Norfolk, and we're going to go into Laguardia. We're going to do the Expressway, which is an ILS, but we're not going to see much of it because we're doing this very tight turn around the back of the... In fact, this flight plan doesn't quite cover it. We actually fly along this road. So although this gives you an idea of it, it's not actually very accurate. Okay, shall we copy this flight plan, copy to the clipboard. Let's go and run Navigraph in the background as well. And unload the old flight that I had, make a new flight, and stick this in here. So we are going Corf 05. So KLGA 31, isn't it? It's the runway 31 expressway approach. Is famous. Let's try that. See what it looks like. That looks about right. Except it hasn't actually picked the arrival. So it's actually the RNAV. Yeah, there isn't actually. We're not using. We're just using it an approach. RNAV X runway 31 should be the one. Add to route, and there it goes. The advantage of doing that, of course, is we get to see the diagram of the actual real-world diagram of the route, which is far too detailed for it to make any sense. It's one of the things you just have to actually do to make sense of. Okay, we're not going to worry too much about that. We'll leave that running in the background. So we're going to take off from Norfolk and then fly over Washington. Just have a look at it. So we'll program the route in as we get the airplane up and running. So let's have a look at the live stream chat just quickly. Hi from New Zealand. Great watching you. Oh, thank you. You can really help my YouTube channel as well as my robot is saying things like that. Saw the title and thought you meant Norfolk in the UK. That would take a while. Is he going to be flying using radio nav or FMC? I was thinking about that. I've kind of programmed this on purpose, or penciled the route in. As soon as we take off, we turn left, and we're going straight for the VOR. over Ronald Reagan Airfield. And then we fly straight for another VOR. So we could do all of this with radio nav instead of GPS. So just to make it a bit more fun then, in the aeroplane, before we do anything, let's go to the aircraft page, click on the cog, and we should be able to remove our cheat sheet from the aeroplane. So we have no GPS anymore. So we have to do it properly. Lee Rose is saying, get the cheese board ready, Captain. Oh, Lee is like the king of emojis. He is so good at them. Right, so I'm going to not follow the live stream chat for the next few minutes because I need to get the airplane ready. Before we get the airplane ready, we need to put some fuel in it, which it's actually got loads already, so we'll have plenty for this flight. Okay, let's go back to the main screen. So if you'll excuse me for a moment in the live chat, I need to go and read my checklist, which is on the same laptop that I'm looking at now. So Control 7, we go and turn the batteries on. Now I'm going to apologise in advance that it's so long since I've done this. It's going to be very foreign to me. So then Control and 8, and lights and notices on the far right, which is over here. We need to go and set nav light to high int. So there's the nav light, goes to high int. No smoking to auto. And cabin emergency to armed. On the far left we set the yaw damp master 1 and 2 to on. That's those two. The autopilot master to on. And avionics master A and B, avionics master A and B to on. Anti-skid and lift spoilers far left, that's this bit here. So anti-skid to on. Lift spoilers yellow and green to on. Then overhead, Control 7. In the electric section in the second column, which is here, we bus tie AC and DC to auto. So bus tie AC and DC to auto. Standby inverters and standby generators to armed. So those both go to armed. And the APU gen goes to on. So APU gen is down here, and you have to click it twice to make it go on. In the first column, we turn the left inner fuel pump to on. Then we go to the APU and set the master switch to start. So APU is in the third column. It's up here. So APU master switch to start. We wait for the needle to go around, and then the light will come on saying that the APU is available. Or that's the plan anyway. So after doing this, the flight deck emergency lights can be armed, which are down here. Well, we can do that while we're waiting. There we go, we're getting a fuel low pressure, which is absolutely correct. APU power available has lit up. On the aft centre console, press Control 4. We turn the yaw damper on, so we just click this button here. And the left and right side panels, we open the oxygen. So I'm just going to double check that I've not missed anything there. So we go back to the cockpit and we turn the valves on the oxygen. So I have to go around the chap here that's sat doing nothing. He's being very helpful. Okay, so back overhead. Centre tank transfer to auto. So that's in the fuel section. Centre tank transfer goes to auto. ice protection on the fourth column, ice detector on under the cover, so that's that one. Close the cover. Then control 3, and we click on the flip chart, which sets the takeoff speeds, the V speeds, and we put the flight directors on. So the flight director switches are either side of, so you can see the needles come to life. We turn nav 1 on, so we press this one to turn it on, and for nav 2 I can't remember how this works, I can never remember this. Do we just click it? I think we do, and that turns it on. And control 5, front pedestal, comm radios to on, so on and on. And then we're going to set up the FMC if we had one. We don't. We set up the nav radios if we have them. We do. So we are immediately going to look at our route then. As soon as we leave here, we're going to fly 122 miles towards, but can we get another beacon en route? I don't think this will take Vortex. I think it will only do VORs. So we're going to have to fly a heading blindly until we get there. So 111 degrees. Sorry. 111 is the frequency of the... Now what's the name of that one? Can we show information for... Usually these acronyms relate to a name. It's just, yeah, it's just DC, Washington DC. So DCA. So we want 111. So on the radios in here, we can actually tune the active frequency directly. We need to make sure. Let's just move the. Oops! I've just locked everything by accident. Now, to make the yoke disappear in this one, you have to click. That gets rid of the tablet. That gets rid of the yoke. I'm just trying to remember. There's a switch, isn't there? Here it is. So we got nav or RNAV. That would be GPS, and that's nav radios. So we want the course configured as well to 351 degrees. So over here, we want this to be 351. Whoops, gone too far. We could play games with the nav radios on the way, to be honest. We're going to have lots of time. And we're going to set an altitude. We're going to fly up to 25,000 feet. Or climb to 25, I should say. We can arm that straight away. Can we pre-arm... If I put the heading bug to 351 as well... you have to do it on the HSI. Anyway, so overhead, control 7, we're getting ready to start the engines. So on the lower panel we set fasten seatbelts to on, and then we go further overhead and we turn the beacon light to on, which means we're about to start the engines. It's just warning people on the ground. And we would perform pushback at this point if we need to. And we don't actually need to. Look, we're just on a parking spot. But having said that, I guess it would make sense to, wouldn't it? So we'll come back down. Oh, we need the need the tablet back. So aircraft, we get rid of the chocks. This hasn't got any clever pushback add-ons, I don't think. Let's just have a quick look on the tablet, see if they've added anything to do with that. I don't think they have. So we're just going to press Shift and P, which is going to push us back. Although it's doing it very... Oh, it's going very slowly because I had the parking brake on. Now, there's still a bug with my controller, look. I'm having to... I've got the brakes... Oh no, I've not powered the brakes up yet, that's why. As soon as we get the engines running, we'll have the hydraulic power to control things. So we're just giving ourselves room. In the real world, you'd be starting the engines while you're pushing back. We can't do that because there's only one of me. So I'm going to put the parking brake back on while we're sitting here. Okay, so control 7, turn all the fuel pumps on now. Start master to on for the engines, turn it to engine number 4 first, and then hit the start button. If we come down and look in the cockpit, you will see the N1 is coming up. So when it gets to 10%, which it has just done, you can hit the start switch for the engine, which will introduce fuel. So you'll see the turbine gas temperature start going up. With a bit of luck, there it goes. And then, so you can see N2 coming up as well, that's the gas turbine. And the fuel flow obviously increases because it's starting to burn fuel. And if we look overhead, you will see, yeah, the lights have gone back out, which means we can go for the next engine. And we can hit start. And come back down. So wait for this to go to 10%, and it's just done that. So then we can advance the starter for engine number 3. And again, wait for the lights to go out here, and then we can turn to engine number 2 and repeat it again. It's pretty straightforward. So waiting for the lights to go out, which means the starting sequence is done. There we go. So start. So we're looking for this to come past 10%. There it goes. While we're here, we'll go and turn on the thrust modulation system. We'll put it into takeoff mode straight away. Notice it's complaining about the throttle positions. So then we can go to engine number 1 and let's start engine number 1. And it's gone through 10%, so we can hit starter for engine number 1. It's getting noisy outside probably. Okay, this should all go out in a moment, then we can select start engines to off, start master to off, Gen 1 to on, so let's press Control 7 so we can see what we're doing. So, yeah, Gen 1 to on, Gen 4 to on, packs on the far right, pack 1 and 2 to on, so there's pack 1 and pack 2 to on. Engine air, all of them on. Overhead, Control 8, brake fans to auto. Hydraulics in the first, oh hang on a second, have I missed a bit? No, hydraulics, pump, engine 2 pump on and engine 3 pump on. So engine 2 pump on, engine 3 pump on. Overhead, Control 7, all heaters to on in the ice protection section. So there we go. And we are basically ready to taxi. So we'll check lights. So beacons on. We're going to brake with procedure a little bit and put the strobe on now rather than when we get to the runway, just so we don't have to remember to do it. In this aircraft you leave the APU on. I'm just trying to think. So we should find, if we now we've got hydraulics working, we should be able to see at the back. Yeah, that the tail has closed itself. We should have controls now. Just make sure. It's interesting that that hasn't levelled itself out. So we're going to go to take off flat position. So you can see the wings change shape here. I love watching these animations. So we're basically done with the start sequence. So I'm going to come back to the live stream and see how we're doing. Okay. Should we get rid of the pilots out of the cockpit? They're annoying, aren't they? Aircraft. Is it in here? I can never remember where this is. To actually make them disappear. Cockpit pilots, there we go. So now we don't have the person sat there. So we can just get on with what we're doing. Okay, so if we go and look at the map quickly, I think we need to double back on ourselves. So yeah, we need to double back, then follow right to go onto the runway. So off the parking brake, ease the engines forwards. Get rid of that tablet out of the way. Should we go and put the weather radar on? I'm not sure if it works, but it looks nice. So at the moment we've put this into takeoff configuration. What it means is it's expecting the levers to be in an area where they are not. So the thrust modulation system basically works like a bank of servos. But they can only modify the positions away from the throttle levers for a certain extent of where they are. Obviously it won't kick in until they're pushed forwards. Somehow I don't think we'll need all the runway. Let's just check how long the runway is. 9,000 feet. Yeah, we'll go full length. It gives us lots of time, doesn't it? Lots of time to accelerate. So notice as soon as we get any speed up, the elevators have changed configuration. Okay, we should be good to go. So you should notice... Oh, we've got a problem down here. Whoa, just nearly ran somebody over. I'm just going to looking at those lights on the ground down there, which are not looking fantastic. Okay, so rotate. Gear up. Just looking at the ice protection is complaining. Flaps up. And we can go to max continuous thrust. Just doing a slow turn towards our heading. We didn't program. Maybe we did. So let's get the autopilot on. Get vertical speed held. If we go just heading mode for the moment, let's have a look at what we've got programmed here. So we are just cutting across the bay. We're a little bit off the direction we want it to be because the wind is pushing us left 20 knots. So let's just anticipate that and go for 0 degrees. So if we want to climb a bit faster, because we're getting, we're way too fast below 10,000 feet. I'm trying to do too many things at once. Well, we haven't got an auto throttle in a BA 146, so we're just getting the speed back down to 250 knots using attitude to do it. So here it comes. So then we'll dip the nose again to stop the deceleration. And go for vertical speed hold. Let's have a look outside. Keep an eye on it. So you'll notice on the triangles have disappeared. It basically means that where I've got the levers means it can put the engines to max continuous thrust, which happens to be 92% without too much problem. Okay, we had some issues, didn't we? So we're showing screen heat cell off, wind tail anti-ice on. So let's have a look around. I must have missed that on the checklist. So it wants that on by the look of it. So that should go out now. If it doesn't, I'm not going to worry too much. Just having a look around, see if we've got anything else odd going on. All looks pretty good. We've just got that one rogue light that's... So wing, tail, anti-ice on. Why is it complaining about that? So if we turn all this back off... There we go. Beautiful day. We've got live weather, so... So, Zachary says we've just flown out of his home airport. So hopefully in a bit we should pick up, because if you look, we're coming back towards the track. Let's find out what the range is of this VOR station. So It's saying 250 miles. Surely we should have picked it up. So 111. Have I tuned the right one in? 111. I was expecting to see DME. Unless this is wrong, of course. It could have been decommissioned, I suppose. So let's do 5 degrees to the left. We're still climbing. We're not holding 250 knots anymore, so we're going to take some vertical speed off. So we're still climbing at 2,000 feet a minute, mind. This thing goes upstairs like a bat out of hell. Right, we have to take some more vertical speed out of it. Sorry, more. Yeah, lower the nose a little bit. All I'm watching there is the reaction of this needle to a lower pitch angle, and we're so about 1,700 feet a minute now, 1,800 feet a minute. We are slowly gaining airspeed back. Obviously, as we get higher, we'll lose airspeed. This is indicated, remember. But we're above 18,000 feet now, so we could make a much shallower climb and get some speed on. Should we do that? So let's pull the vertical speed back down to 1,000 feet a minute, maybe. So thereabouts, vertical. Let it hold that. And we'll get some speed back, hopefully. I'm amazed we haven't picked up, unless it doesn't have DME, of course, on this beacon. Oh, it's only a 40-mile range. That was the airfield we were. So we won't see it yet. We'll see it from about there. That makes sense. There's no other beacons. I wonder if we can pick these up. Let's have a go. So we've got 117.6 at Patuxent River. So let's put that on nav 2. What was it again? 117.6. It hasn't come alive, has it? Probably too far away. What's the range on this one? 40 miles, that's nothing. We're probably only going to get to see it when we're almost on top of it. Okay. So speed is slowly coming up, and we're obviously slowly climbing as well. So we should have changed the altimeter here to 2992 as we came through 18,000. We're a bit late doing that. And is there a standby? Are these synchronized? I can't remember. Yeah, they are. Yeah, it's all synchronized. Okay, that's fine. And then the fields is a bit odd, isn't it? Lots of forest. So if you're going to have a look out the window out of this side, can you see? There's not much to see, is there, from this altitude, unfortunately. I'm always a bit paranoid in this aeroplane, checking gauges and seeing everything's okay and temperatures are good. And so we're coming up through 23,500 feet. Engines are still going. I've never played with the ADF in this thing. Guessing, I'm not sure which instrument it would show the needle on, because that's BOR 1 and 2, or NAV 1 and 2 I should say. So you've obviously got the needles over here, or sorry, the frequencies for ADF over here, but I'm not sure where it will appear. So the klaxon you just heard is because we are within 1,000 feet of our target altitude that was armed on the altitude selector, pre-selector. So we're coming up to cruise. We need to keep an eye on the speed. We'll probably have to come back to sync mode and pull the throttles back to stop ourselves over speeding. I think maybe if we took it up to 28,000 feet, then we wouldn't have an issue. So we're heading towards Washington at quite a clip, I think the is. So we've got a 30 knot crosswind now. So we're doing our best to stay on track just by fiddling with the heading. So yeah, we can see we're losing climb rate as we get higher, but it's dialing it out because we're coming up to our target altitude, and you can see the speed is building. So what we're going to do now is go to sync mode on the thrust modulation system, and I'm just pulling the throttles gently back. So 96%, is it still increasing? Yes, it is. So 92, 91. I'm trying to stop that needle going into the red. It's still increasing, isn't it? Or maybe, no, it still is. So let's pull it back to 90, see how that goes. Yeah, we're overspeeding there just. We'll pull it back to 80% just to get the needle away from the overspeed region. So you can see the needle's falling back now. So let's go for about 85% then. That'll do. Okay. It's ages since I've flown this. Ages and ages. We're going to have a look around the airplane while we're cruising along. So it's all really nicely modelled. There's a ladder, galley. Make ourselves a bit taller. toilet. Doors. Another galley. I don't know if we can go through the wall. No, we can't. Zoom straight back to the pilot position. So at this altitude, 84% is keeping us at just under 300 knots indicated. Our ground speed will be significantly more than that. See now look, we've got DME counting. Interesting. On nav 2. So remember we said we might pick this up, we have picked it up. So if we move the course round on nav 2, we can get the bearing of the VOR station from us. There it is, look. So watching the needle down now. So 118 degrees from us, just to illustrate this if you've never seen this done before. Yeah, there you go, look. 118 was there. So you can figure out from the instruments where you are, even if you weren't showing yourself on the map, you could do that. So we'll now be closing in on the one on nav 1. Yes, it's come alive, look. But we're not getting DME on it, bizarrely. So if we go, we can tune in to approach. We should be getting a number here, and we're not. That's interesting. We're probably right on the limit of its range. It'll probably come up saying 38 miles or something very soon. Let's have a look from outside and we'll see Washington coming. Yeah, here it comes. So you can see bits of well-known landmarks appearing in front of us. This is the reason I came this way, so we get to have a look. So we're still quite a way out, so let's just jump inside for the moment. Let's get back on track. 5 degrees left. Of course, it's sod's law, there's a bloody great cloud bank. Steve Collins says, good evening. Good evening. So we've just picked up ATIS from one of the airfields. So if you remember when we were looking around earlier, the comm radios are here, aren't they? So if you want to stop that from happening, all you have to do is detune them. Obviously, if we want the ATIS from any of the airports, we can use it. Hey. So coming in, why are we only at 24,000? Oh no, it's ticked over. 25,000 feet, there we go. Yeah, it's flicking between it. It's a bit misleading sometimes. It shows 0 when it actually means 99. Can you see down there? Hopefully it's not going to be too covered. There's an airfield coming. Which one's that? Oh, that's Ronald Reagan. Down there. So if we line the camera up. So in terms of the famous bit, so the row of all of the famous buildings, we should fly straight over the top of them. So they'll be at a slight angle to us. That's across here, isn't it? So there's the obelisk. There's the gardens with the fountains. And the other end as well with the Lincoln Memorial. It's very cool. There's the White House. And it's at this point we're going to fly 77 degrees. So we're going to get back in the cockpit and spin the heading round. We'll have to go for more than 70 now. So we'll go for 90 degrees to get back onto the track. We were flying into this VOR, remember, so we should be able to put 77 degrees in as our course and then track it on the radio to see when we get back on the line. See, at the moment we are to the left of the 77 degree line, so we'll overcompensate. So if we turn, say, 100 degrees, then we can intercept the line, or 110 even. So what you're seeing here is us swooping out, and we'll come in at 100 degrees back towards the line, and then we'll see the CDI slide in, the course deviation indicator. So do we have any other VORs around? So we could tune in. Did we decide that they did work? 115.1 for Baltimore, we'll put that onto nav2. 115.10. Yep, it's lit up, look. So we can see, if we turn this round, we can see that Baltimore is at that heading off of our nose, or bearing I should say. And we're now at 100 degrees, cutting back towards our track. So you will see this needle will start to slide in. So then we just turn the heading bug. We don't actually have to do that. What we can do is say glide slope lock. No, sorry, have VOR lock even, not glide slope lock, VOR lock. So if we do VOR lock instead of heading mode, what it will do, it will stay on heading for the moment until the VOR lock hits, and as soon as it captures the track, it will turn us left onto it automatically. Be interesting to watch it happen. Here comes the CDI. So it's seen the signal, it's actually turning a little bit more steeply into it. You can see the flight director moving here, look, it wants the aeroplane to roll left. Now it's saying stop rolling, roll right a bit. So if you're not aware how this works, there's two systems in play in an autopilot. There's the flight director and the autopilot. So the flight director is the clever bit. Looking at the situation that's going on, the flight director figures out what the aeroplane needs to do. So that's what you see in terms of the crosshair moving around. So at the moment it's telling the aeroplane, roll right a bit, roll right a bit. Just doing it gently. When you see it move wildly, it means you've got to put a big input in. So all the autopilot does is dumbly follows what the flight director tells it to do. Just gives the inputs it's being instructed. Obviously, if you take over with heading mode or whatever else, then it's you controlling it rather than I mean, the flight director still tries to tell it what to do according to what you've instructed, but it's not quite as clever as if it's tracking. See, look, we're on the line now, the 77 line. So you can see it's never an exact science with radios. So don't expect to be like a GPS where you're on the track exactly. So we're now got a 100-mile trip across to the next one. So we could tune VOR2 over to this, couldn't we? What is it? The Cedar Lake 115.20. So if we put that onto nav 2, we'll see it light up when we get there. So yeah, what's the range on it? So 40 miles again. So we won't see it until we're probably just to the south of Townsend. Well, that's fine. So we're going quite slowly. I must have moved the throttles. When did I move the throttles? Okay, there we go, 85%. Let's ease the throttles forwards and get some speed back up. So someone's saying they've got they're watching the startup of the 737-700 and they have a light warning saying low oil pressure. That's because the engines aren't running, I would say. Oh, it could be the hydraulic pumps if it means hydraulic oil. Or if you've been flying it a lot, it could mean that you've got consumable simulation switched on and you've actually run out of hydraulic oil. So you have to go through the the FMC in the Boeing. In the PMDGs, there's consumables in the FS menu. If you press the menu button on the FMC, is it FS options? And in there there's the consumables like refilling the hydraulic fluid. So Robert Peacock is in Chestertown, waving out of the window. So we're getting some speed back up. Should we take this up? Let's go for maximum continuous thrust. And let's take this up to 28,000. So we'll go... Although saying that, we're going east, aren't we? Which is odd. Let's see if we can get to 29. So... we pull up on the pitch. Critical speed mode. So we're going 1500 feet a minute. We're on maximum continuous thrust. So that you can see that has stopped the acceleration. I doubt we'll be at, yeah, the speed is slowly bleeding off. It can't quite hold it. Take it out to 29,000 feet. Let's see how we do. very stable aeroplane, isn't it? It doesn't get moved around much by the wind. Big heavy lump, I suppose. So yeah, coming back to what Giza was saying about the 737, low oil pressure is going to be the hydraulic pumps are not running, or you've run out of hydraulic fluid, I would say. So that's telling us we're within 1,000 feet of our target altitude. So you can see it's winding off now. You'll see the vertical speed is being wound off automatically as we approach the target altitude. Did we pick up? Yeah, we're counting down. Look, the distance to the VOR. So if we look on the map. Show information for Millville 11520. So should we change nav 1 over? You can actually, the switch thing here, if you put that onto nav 2, it means nav 2 will appear on this instrument. Yeah? If you say nav 1, it means whatever's tuned into nav 1 will appear on both. If you say split, then you get nav 2 on the right hand and nav 1 on the left hand. So I'm going to change this then to 115.20. So you can see the needle just moved. We're not getting distance measuring. Have I broken it? It's working on nav 2. Oh, I'm an idiot. Helps if you turn it on, doesn't it? Oh, that's just rustiness. So you get to actually turn it on or off. That's why we didn't have it earlier. So what we could do is go for VOR lock again and let the aeroplane stay on the track into, we've got 26 miles to run until the VOR. What we could do is tune the next one in for nav 2, so that was 115.4 for the next one. It's too far out to get a signal yet. So Jeff's saying, cool turboprop video the other day. Turboprops have long been a mystery to me too. Yeah, I kind of had half a clue about how they worked, but doing that, kind of researching it for myself and making a video helped kind of clear the fog. So it was interesting to see. There's obviously more to it though, because the propeller pitch is not consistent. The propeller pitch on the modern turboprops is obviously computer controlled. So it isn't consistent. So we're getting an overspeed warning. I'm just going to come back off the throttle back to 90%. So it's still accelerating. Not quite, the needle's just falling, but not very much. So I'll just show this to show everybody what happens if you've not seen this aeroplane. If we deploy the air brake. Oh my word, why have I got no air brakes? I was expecting the tail to open up then. Oh, don't say my controller's going wrong. Alright, I'm going to come back off the throttle. Have I forgotten to power something up somewhere? What's going on? Oh, of course we're in max continuous thrust, aren't we? Where the engines can't power down that much. There we go. Okay, is this frozen? I was watching the needle there. It is moving, isn't it? Yeah, it is gently moving, it's not frozen. There we go. So I'm wondering now, let's go and have a look overhead. What have we missed? The hydraulics is all good. Ice protection's fine. Engine 3 pump on, engine 2 pump on. Just wondering why we had no spoilers. Unless it's a control configuration issue. Possibly. Well, that's going to be fun then if we're going to be descending without spoilers because I've not configured something in the simulator correctly. Oh, it's working now. Who knows? The vagaries of Flight Simulator. So, Wise Penguin is saying, have you tested the ATR after the last plane update? With the Airbus quadrant, it seems that it blocks the throttle levers after taking off. They don't react until the plane touches ground again. Yeah, I've flown it. I don't think I had any problems. Okay, how are we doing? So we're about to cross over the... Oops. Oh, we got massively off track because we're busy talking. We need to go for... Let's make a new radial, shall we? Measure distance from here into 115.4, wasn't it? 37 degrees we want, so... Just check that was that. Show information. 115.4. 37 degrees. Okay. So we want 37 degrees into 115.40. Which are obviously too far out to see yet. We're 43 miles away. It's only 40-mile range on the station, but we can still go to heading mode for the moment and put ourselves on 37 degrees, which is going to be about there. We're also going to start descending. Put it down to 18,000 feet to begin with. Turn altitude hold off, push the nose down, pull the throttles back. So we come down at 2.5, 3,000 feet a minute maybe. We'll see what we can get away with. So altitude is coming off. So we're starting to get ready for the expressway approach. So we've still got that wind pushing us sideways, so we're going to force ourselves 5 degrees left. So we're coming down 2,000 feet a minute. Let's see if we can come down a bit quicker than that. So 3,000 feet a minute. What's happening with the speed? Obviously the air gets thicker as you get lower altitude, so it may arrest our speed itself as we descend. So that's 25 or 26,000 and dropping. We are accelerating, but like I say, that may stop, because the lower we get, the thicker the air gets, the more the air resistance builds up. If not, we'll just crack open the air brakes slightly. Wise Penguin, you might be right. It may be that when you're in max continuous thrust you can't open the spoilers. Sounds like a good idea. Yeah, we've stopped accelerating, I think. Obviously we're getting into the thicker and thicker air. So 18,000 feet, we need to find out the QNH of the destination airfield, don't we? So let's go and get the information for Laguardia and look at the weather, and it's 1022. It's easy enough. Oh, we want it. Oh yeah, we have got both on the gauges in this aircraft, so we've got millibars and hectopascals, or inches, sorry, and hectopascals. Okay, down to 20,000 feet. So it looks pretty clear, so our expressway approach should be fairly straightforward. If you've never seen it before, it's a visual approach into Laguardia that flies along the expressway and then round the back of the stadium into runway 31. It's quite exciting, I guess you could say. It's when you see the real pilots doing it, they just treat it like they're driving a digger or something. It's quite funny. But for anyone starting out with the sim, it's quite a challenge, I think. But it does pay off to be prepared in advance, like have the aeroplane configured, ready to do it. If you get behind the aeroplane, you end up in trouble. So we've come down through 18,000 now. I didn't target 18,000, did I? I didn't arm it. So we'll set the next one for 10,000. And we'll arm it, which is where we need to decelerate to 250 knots. We are still extremely fast, so I'm going to pull the nose up a little bit. Maybe put the spoilers out a little bit. Spoilers are very effective in this plane. How are we doing? Almost on top of the VOR. Down to 14,000 feet. And dropping. So we need to be at 250 knots by the time we come through 10,000 feet. And looking at the map, we want to be at 2,500 foot. It's actually dials is the point, the turn-off point. It's not on this. This star is a bit wrong. You turn at dials, and there's a really good visual indication. There's some water towers you can turn at, or gas towers, whatever they are. storage towers, let's call them that. We should have changed this, shouldn't we? At 18,000, so let's go and retune to 1022. What did it say in the map about the 3019? Okay, so we haven't got it quite right. There we go. And then that will give us the accurate ground. So we're down to 250 knots as we approach 10,000 feet, which is over here. So then we can come off the air brakes. We'll come down now to 5,000 feet. Obviously the airplane is decelerating, we're idle on the engines. So because we hadn't quite reached our target, it's carried on straight through. We are going too fast now though. We're below 10,000 feet, going faster than 250 knots, which is not allowed. Okay, so we need to be going left a bit. We're cheating a little bit using the map. The visual indication you can use is lining up with the runway. Yeah, so if we go left a bit, we don't need anything more than that to fly in at the correct angle. So if you look, this direct is 45 degrees and it's as if you are going to fly in to runway 04 at Laguardia, but then you turn off and you get to the water towers. So let's set this for 2,500. So we'll keep descending at the rate we are. And so if we keep an eye out outside, which way's the wind as well? Okay, so we want probably 43 degrees maybe on the heading, 42 degrees. So you can see there's what would be 04, and we're coming down to 4,500 feet. We can descend a lot more slowly now. We're getting in the ballpark and we're way early, which is good. It means we get to see some buildings as we go whistling past. Okay, so let's the engines back up a little bit, keeping on the speed. Yeah, we're still coming down quite quickly. Don't want to get too fast. So got another 700 feet to drop. We're probably too low too early thinking about it. Yeah, we should be above 3,000 feet at patch U, so let's correct that. So we want vertical speed, target at 3,000 feet, so it'll wind it back out almost immediately. I'm just looking at the altitude restrictions, so it wants us above 3,000 at patch U, then down to 2,500 for Shay. It's really 2,500 for dials. So yeah, here we go. We can see the visual landmarks. There's the towers. They'll be a lot easier to see when we get closer to them. Into the distance. Why can we not see the lights from there's the runway? There we go, you can see the lights again now. Okay, so I'm going to come off the autopilot in a minute. And let's do it now. We haven't got anything to worry about. So we're in sync mode on the throttles. 3,000 feet. So we're going to start dropping to 2,500 feet. So remember, we're aiming for the runway. We're going to turn when we get to the towers. So we're dropping gently now to 2,500 feet by the time we get to the towers. Remember, that's the radar altitude, or radio altitude over the ground, that's reading out those numbers. But we're talking about altitude above sea level. So there's our 2,500. So we'll stop descending at that altitude. We'll start feeding in flaps. So here come those two towers. Now if you look out to the side, when we get to the towers, when we turn right, you'll see the expressway. We're descending a little bit too much. There's the expressway, it's behind the pillar. So we turn for the expressway. So let's straighten up the view. And we then descend to 1,000 feet as we fly along the expressway. Drop the gear. There's the landing lights on this thing. I think up is on, isn't it? It's a bit backwards. So I'm going to chuck the spoilers out. So what we're looking for along here is there is a water fountain. So I've slowed us right down so we get loads of time to do this. If you do this in the 737, it all happens a bit more quickly. So what you're actually looking at, look, there's the runway, just over there. So what we're doing, I've done this in the 747, it's quite good fun. So we're looking to come down to 1,000 feet as we go around the back of the water fountain. We continue descending as we go. So I'm going to full flaps now. A little bit high.
1,000.
So then we do this sweeping turn around the back of the stadium and the water. So yeah, we just hit 1,000, that's good. It's a job to see sometimes. And here comes runway 31. So I'm just putting us in the right place in the cockpit. So got a bit low there, got a bit unsighted, but we're fine.
$50, $40, $30, $20.
Okay, so all the air brakes and spoilers and everything out, wheel brakes on, and it stops remarkably quickly. See, the whole of the wing opens up. And then we'll turn out over the taxiway. So I overshot the turn onto the runway a little bit, but then I haven't flown this for months and months, so it's a bit of a voyage of discovery to remember how to handle it, to be honest. So obviously we haven't got any ATC, so we're not going to hold short, we're just going to go barreling across the runway. So that was the Expressway approach into Laguardia. It's actually a lot easier in like a 737 or an Airbus because they're just easier to fly than the 146. Is there any spaces down here? Let's have a look. Oh, we need to turn off the lights. We also need to turn off the strobes, but I'm not going to do it. Too many things at once. Parking brake on. APU doesn't get switched off in this airplane, remember, so we were going to talk about lights, weren't we? So strobes off, beacon on, sorry. Nav lights can stay on. So yeah, because the APU is always on in this, you can just shut the engines down and it won't cause any problems because the APU will cross feed over automatically. Obviously I'm not going to go through the whole sequence of flicking everything back that we turned on and turn it all back off again. It's fairly obvious. But yeah, hopefully you enjoyed that. Let's put some of the stuff outside down. So passengers, door and the stairs. So if we go and have a look outside now. So we've now got the stairs outside. Let's open the service door, cargo doors, aft cargo, aft service, aft passengers. It's very cool. Ground power, chocks, ground power. Oh, it does have a pushback option. That must have appeared recently. I don't remember that being there before. What else can we do? Oh yeah, there's all sorts of failures you can model in it. Okay, so there we go. So let me catch up with the live stream comments. Is that the Carney's approach? No, it's the Expressway for runway 31, Laguardia. Do I know when it's coming to Xbox? I haven't got a clue, sorry. So Khan is saying, just started following you, love the way you explain aviation, keep it up mate, cheers from Kentucky. Oh, thank you very much. All I'm doing is really sharing what I learn. I'm kind of a couple of pages ahead of some others. So I'm not a real pilot, don't have a pilot's license, so I'm just sharing what I've learned. Sometimes I get the armchair expert brigade having a go at me. But you need a thick skin to do this business, I think. Anyway, I'm going to leave it there, and I'll see you all again soon. Take care. Oh, one more thing. If anybody has not seen it, go and visit Virtual Flight. Whoops, if I can type it. Virtual Flight Online. And this is the community I founded and keep picking away at building. We have forums, which are getting busier and busier, with lots of sensible people who are interested in aviation and simulators. So if you go and look in invitations, you can see people going flying and offering, for others to join them. Looking at introductions, loads of people saying hello from all over the world in the forums. There's sections obviously on all aspects of Flight Simulator. We also have a newsletter that goes out every so often. There's a guidebook to everything we do. So the airline is probably the biggest thing. We have, I don't know how this happened, over 1,000 pilots now in the airline. If you look at any one time, there's only a few in the air this evening, but it's a bit crazy. We've got a Discord server, so we often do group flights, quite commonly on a Sunday evening. You probably get 50, 60 people taking part, and they use Discord to do that. We've also got a TeamSpeak server, which we've just spun up recently, so if you've not been around for years and years like I have, in the years before Discord, TeamSpeak was the way everybody used to talk online. So that is there now, it's up and running. It's a program you run. It's a lot faster and more efficient than Discord, but it just doesn't do screen sharing or text chat. All it does is voice. There's a Facebook group. There's the transmitter program I wrote when Flight Sim first came out, which shares your position on the map. And obviously Patreon is how everybody chips in to keep everything running, because obviously running web stuff isn't free, so the community funds it itself. Okay, so yeah, go join the forums and go and introduce yourself. And there's a support forum, so if you've got questions about aircraft or simulators or procedures, it's the best place to go. Okay, I'm going to leave it there anyway. So thanks for watching this evening, and I'll see you again soon.